What's up everybody, it's AJ with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be checking out this blowout plug from Valterra. Now this is brass fitting here that screws in to our city water connection. And what that's going to do, we'll unscrew the cap here, is allow us to hook up an air hose to this to blow out all the water out of our lines. Now why we want to do that, it's a normal thing you do before you winterize your rig. That way you can blow out all the excess water in the pipes and then follow it with antifreeze. I also suggest getting the habit of doing it after any long trips, just to get any of that water out of there, because you know your pipes kind of go like this on the inside, and even that dip, that's where the water usually collects and stays, so you might not get out of there even if you just drain the fresh water tank. It's going to stay in there. It only takes a couple of days for it to get stagnant, and then a week later it might grow a little bit of algae, so then it creates problems down the line when you're going to shower or drinking water. I don't want any of that in there, so just go ahead and blow it out every time. That way you don't have that problem. Before you start running air through your lines, there's a couple steps you have to go through to make sure your rig is ready to do that. We're going to walk through that together and go step by step on what you need to do. First step is going to go ahead and find your fresh water tank lever here. Ours is located down there. I'm going to pull this handle and let as much water out as we can. That way there's less in the lines. Just going to go pull this and just watch it drain. That's letting most of the water out. That way when we hook up the compressor, we'll just blow out a little bit of the extra water and we'll be good. Our next step is we're going to go ahead and throw the switch to bypass the water heater. Now why we're doing that is we don't want to pump a bunch of water into the water heater, or if you're getting ready to winterize it, you don't want to pump a bunch of antifreeze into your water heater. So flipping that switch bypasses it and we're good to go. Now ours is down here. Here you can see I flipped that switch up now, and so we're good to move on to the next step. Now we're going to open our valves, because if we're going to pump a bunch of air in through the lines, we don't want to blow up the lines if there's nowhere for the air to go. So we're going to start with the sink. You're probably going to get some water coming out. We'll let that drain. You can see it's already slowing down. And we're going to go through one by one and go through all the valves. So we're going to do the sink in here, sink in the bathroom, we're going to turn on the shower, and even flush the toilet. And with the hot and cold, you go ahead and throw the other one too. Just let all the water out of both lines. Another thing to do, just to be safe before we put air through the lines, is go ahead and step down on the pedal of our toilet here. That way it would release anything else in there before we add air. Now there's two different approaches for this. You can open up all the valves at once and blow out the lines. We're going to do them one by one. So remember, the sink is open. Now we can attach our compressor, which I went ahead and lower the PSIs to 30. That way there's not too much air going there. We're not going to blow up any lines or anything like that. We want to be safe and careful for that too. I'm actually surprised about how much water is still coming out and that were left over in the lines. We already pulled the tank, drained it all the way down. This just shows you don't want this water just sitting there in your lines. We already went back and closed the valves in our kitchen sink. Now we're going to come here to the bathroom sink and open these up. Looks like not a lot is coming out this time. We got most of it in the kitchen. Next up is the shower. Same as before. Just open up both these valves all the way. And let's see what happens. With the lines all blown out, I'm just going to come back to our fresh water tank and close the valve. It really is that easy to clear out your lines. That's why I suggest just getting the habit of doing when you come back from your long trips. Might as well use the fitting you bought. When I had this installed, I noticed it was in there nice and tight. There was no air coming out of the sides. I didn't hear anything, so that's good. And with the brass, I think it's going to last you a really long time. You can drop it. Don't have to worry about it breaking on the concrete or anything like that. This end too, same thing. Now they do offer a couple different options. Just to show you why I think this one's the best, I'm going to go show you the other two. This one would be the half plastic and half brass one. Gets the job done just fine. Gets in there nice and tight, but this part's plastic, so that worries me just a little bit. This part's brass, so this is going to hold up just fine. The other option would be all plastic. with a rubber cap on this end, so you kind of peel that off. It's not quite as convenient as this sealed on cap that you can just screw on there and then not worry about it sliding off on its own. And this part, again, gets the job done. It's just plastic. I don't trust it or myself. If you're not as clumsy as I am, maybe you're not worried about it, but I just like the brass one. It's going to last longer through whatever I put it through. Well, that does it for a look at the different blowout plugs from Valterra. I hope this helped.